It is Monday, it is noon, it is time for the next episode of the CraigSkitz podcast. This time, episode 15. Oh man. Okay, look, I know some of you guys were excited. I said this week was going to be the Side Scrolls reunion, but here's the thing. I had to delay it. It's gonna air. I had to delay it though. But this week I have something that I think will help stem the tide a little. Get you excited. I don't know, stem the tide the right thing to say? I don't know. But it still whets your appetite. What's your beat? You'll love it. Okay, look, it's Destin Legarie. You saw the thumbnail. You see the title. This is Destin Legarie. That's right. The first episode, the first originator, the host of Hard News back on the ScrewAttack days. We talk about that quite extensively, but more importantly, what he has going on today, which is pretty much running the show at IGN. He has gone on to an outstanding career. I'm so proud of Destin and everything that he does. And we talk about all that stuff as well. Once again, Destin and I have kept up together for a long time, and I think you're really going to enjoy this episode for sure. With that said, I do want to let you know this episode is brought to you by my latest project, collaboratorclub.com. If you are a creator of any kind, of any size, making content about anything, this is the outlet for you. Look, I've been creating content for a long time, 15 years, and if I had this tool when I started, it would have made things so much better, so much easier. Because the only thing that you can truly count on when growing is working with other people and collaborating. What Collaborator Club does is gives you an amazing search engine to allow you to find creators that you want to work with. So go in and sign up. If you sign up and log in, it's free to sign up right now. Go do it right now, whether you have a Twitch account or a YouTube account. You can go sign up and you actually get 3 free months of premium stuff, premium features when the site launches in 2021. That is this week only. So go and take advantage of that. If you're watching this right now, go sign up. Okay, only through the end of the month. So go take advantage of that right now. Whether you have 1 subscriber or 1 million, I promise to you, it's worth a watch or it's worth checking out. All right, here we go, guys. Episode 15 of the CraigSkitz podcast. Destin Legarie, aka Daily Destin. Hello, Destin.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Last time we spoke, last time we sat down, let's see. Last time we saw each other was in San Francisco and we went to lunch, right? I think that's the last time we saw each other.
I think so. Was it San Francisco, or was it the time I remember the most is when we got steak?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you about this. I'll tell you what. Okay, we're going to deep dive right here. Listen, let me tell you something about being acquired by companies, all right? Let me tell you something. When you are acquired by a company, they give you a company credit card. My God. Okay, look. And you also have this thing called per diem, okay? And this was one of the big upsides of going out to business events and stuff. Because you and I, what was the name of that restaurant?
I can't remember, but it was like, I think we were just going for a walk, and we're like, is there a steak place nearby? And we went to like a super expensive steak place, and it was phenomenal. Of course,
it was like, we went in. It was like, what do you want? That. What else do you want? That. I think I legitimately think the bill was like, I mean, it was probably like $300-400. It was stupid. I remember being
so like done. A San Francisco lunch.
Right. But I remember being done. I was like, man, you better take advantage of that. And I was hoping that nobody would ever like second guess the expense. And nobody did, which was the best thing about it. Oh, it was like you get done and the month passes, you get through all the finances and stuff, you turn in your expense reports and all that crap, and you get done, and it's like, man, great, just business dinner. All right, nice. It works out pretty good. So
those are nice perks every once in a while, you know.
Yes, every once in a while. There weren't many perks to working with a larger company, but it was certainly nice. It was certainly nice. Well, how are you? What's been going on? You've been so busy. I've
been insanely busy. Yeah, definitely.
Should we talk personal or business first?
Well, whatever you want to start with. Okay, I can tell you what's going on in my personal life, I guess. I'm having a baby.
I know. Oh, my gosh. You got married and you got a kid on the way. So how's it looking? Where are we at?
Yeah, I mean, my wife's absolutely wonderful. She's over there doing stuff right now. And yeah, the baby stuff is like really, really good too.
How far along?
Oh God, 24 weeks. 24 weeks exactly.
So let's see, we're still doing weeks. So let's see, 24 weeks is...
Hun, please don't do that.
Is that 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 months, 5 months?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
5,
okay.
6 months.
Okay. So man, we're closing in, big boy. Like you're over the hill now, and you're starting to make your way down the slope to baby time.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly are. It has been exciting and a little bit scary and good. We had an ultrasound today, actually. We've had to go every 2 weeks, and we got really good news today. So, yeah.
How does that? Well, first off, can you share the good news? Because you can't just say "got really good news" and then like, I don't want to floss over that.
Oh, I haven't talked about it publicly.
Well, then don't. If you don't feel comfortable.
No, it's just a really personal thing, and I don't want it to be like.
Fine.
Well, I want to tell people about it, but like, God, man.
Don't feel obligated. Don't feel obligated.
All right, I won't. Anyway, things are great now.
Good. Yeah. Don't feel obligated at all. Like you say or whatever. Well, that's good, man. So I'll tell you this. From my personal experience, going from 0 to 1 kids was a lot easier than going from 1 to 2 kids. And I know that's still a while away, but the first kid where you can just like devote all your attention to them all the time. Like it's the best. It's so much fun. You're gonna have so much fun being a dad. Like being a dad is my favorite thing ever. And I think that's the craziest thing about like our relationship is that you don't even know me as a dad. Like my kids came after you left ScrewAttack, which was just crazy to think about. I mean, that was you were 2 years before. Like you left. What year did you leave?
I don't know, but I was at your wedding.
Yeah, you were at my wedding.
That was pretty cool.
2000,
we all sang Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, that was 2009.
Then I left for Frogster America at first. That didn't last very long. And then IGN's like, "Oh, well, we'll hire you." I've been there since. So
well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about. We'll get to ScrewAttack and all that fun stuff here in a little bit. But let's talk about Frogster because what was it? I remember having the conversation with you where you're like, look, I've been doing the same thing for a while. You and I personally have talked about how like you leaving was helped me professionally because I realized that I needed to challenge people more, right, on a day-to-day basis, right? Is that a kitty cat?
That's my neighbor, I think. The kids play outside, and it's so hot today. Like, I don't know if they'll be able to see, but I am like sweating. It's like 100 degrees in the apartment, but I want to look nice, so I put on the collared shirt.
You look so good.
Yeah, I have to open the window.
Do it. Go ahead. Open it up.
It's open.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It sounded like a cat dying, but
no.
Meow. But so you left, and I remember sitting down and talking to you, and you're like, "Look, I have this offer from this company. They're going to pay me X amount or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, well, I mean, I get it, right?" But in the back of my mind, I was also like, "That's in San Francisco. Oh, that's going to be a tough sell." Because I remember Jose also went out and worked for Frogster Internet. Was it Frogster International? Is that what it was?
Frogster America.
Frogster America.
It was the brands. Okay. They did this game Runes of Magic back in the day. I was community manager, so like doing video work for them, and I did a trailer that like at the time I was super proud of, and then Jose came over later on because I think Jose was looking for work at the time, and I think he ended up taking my place. I was like associate community manager. And I was moving on, and Jose was great, and then they shut down.
Right.
Like right when Jose got there, they're like, "Well, that's it."
So they were just like they hired him. So let's talk about with you. So did you leave, or were you let go with Frogster, or did IGN just find you? Describe to me the transition here.
So IGN, I don't remember how it happened. I think there was a role open. I don't know if I applied for it or I was headhunted, but I went for it, and they made an offer, and I accepted it, and I went and talked to the guy who had got me there and everything. Really nice. I actually run into him in Germany like every year because we end up staying at the same hotel. So I just chat with him a little bit, and I told him, I'm like, "Hey man, I got this offer." He's like, "It just totally makes sense." He wasn't even upset. He's just like, "It makes sense." Like I understand why you would want to take that offer. You should take it. You're clearly like really passionate about gaming and everything. And it was actually really fun working at that company. I learned a lot about how publishers work and how developers work and how many rounds of approvals it takes to like get a trailer made or even release a single image asset. And the team there was incredibly talented. But when I left, it was on good terms. And and then Jose came on, and they got him out there, and Jose and I hung out in San Francisco a few times. That was fun.
I remember Jose telling me like he thought he was making so much money, and Jose is like he was making so, and he like go out to the strip club and stuff. I'll need to get Jose on to tell this story because I remember he's like I spent so much money at the strip club, and it was like it's so funny to think about. So you started IGN, and what's your position at IGN when you started? Because like now you're pretty much running the company.
I was associate gameplay producer, I believe was my starting title, and now I'm a director.
So you're running director of what?
Director of Video Content Strategy is my official title. So what I do right now is I come up with new ideas. We look at pilots, and internally we had a little bit of a restructuring so that we're working better as a team, just across the board. And that's been surprisingly going pretty smooth. A lot of stakeholders have been identified now, and like who to go to and everything. So basically, I manage a team that captures a lot of the gameplay, if not all of it, that you see on the site. Do a lot of, like Mitchell does a lot of the reviews, and Mark does a ton of the gameplay. And I don't know if your viewers are going to know who these people are, but like behind the scenes, I manage those guys. Stella's one of the newest hires. There was this guy, James Duggan, who worked with me for a while. And those are my core reports. And now I have like a whole bunch of freelancers who I'm working with now who help develop like some of our videos for the wiki. Just kind of, I see it as an opportunity to bring in new people and sort of show them like, hey, here's what it takes to make decent content. And as I get older, it's more about teaching people how to edit video in a smart way, or to, manage resources, because your time is a resource. So how much time do you spend on capture? How do you log your footage appropriately? How do you reduce the time through the pipeline of, start production to finish production? Things like that. A lot of things like that. The thing that I'm really excited about, though, is I'm actually developing technology for the next generation consoles and like workflows that we're going to be utilizing at IGN to analyze them better on a technical level. Digital Foundry is clearly the leader in this space, and it's just time we stepped our game up, and we're taking baby steps towards that. And that's really exciting for me because I'm developing that right now. That's like my baby project, and we're really close to showcasing that for the first time.
Can I be absolutely honest with what you did? I don't understand anything you just said. What do you talk like? What is what you just said? As much as it sounded like super important, and I was totally honed in. But like, what you doing? What for the next gen? What
Okay, do you really want me to get into the technical leads here?
Well, I mean, if you want to, you can get into as much or a little as you want. But it sounded like it was really important.
I'm really excited about it. So for me, it's really important. You know how I get about a project. I just sort of get obsessed with figuring them out.
So you're doing something for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One S?
Well, I will be once we actually get those units. Because right now, we're all working from home, trying to figure that out. But what I'm doing is I'm figuring out how to capture on compress at 120 frames per second. The most we've solved for is 1440p at 120 frames. The new consoles go up to 4K 120 over HDMI 2.1. Now, the challenge is no capture device exists that can do 4K at 120 hertz. Not even the Atmos 7.
I love this. You're such a nerd.
Yes. And honestly, like I learned so much on this project. There's still like we know how to capture uncompressed. There is a tool that we can use to analyze that in an interesting way for our viewers. And I'm just really, really excited about this project. And that's what I'm doing behind the scenes. That's like my passion project. And then I have like all the managerial stuff where like I do one-on-ones with the employees, and I do performance reports, and I give feedback on video edits and make sure everybody has their assignments, like manager stuff. So I have all that. And I do a Destiny show. Yeah.
That's so great. Like I love, like I said, I don't know. You just throw out like a bunch of technical jargon, which it's like the video goes in and it plays and it's like, oh, right, yeah. But I love how passionate you are, and it's so obvious how passionate you are about it, which is so good. And I will never fault somebody for being passionate about something. I think that's so great. I don't understand it. I mean, I understand what you're saying and why you're excited about it, but I love that you're so excited about possibly bringing this technology to your audience, which is like, That's fucking awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And actually, when you called me, I was practicing shooting product B-roll. So if I get the consoles before other people, I can shoot competent product B-roll. And I was working with one of our producers, Andres Siller, and one of our editors, Patrick Coughlin. And Pat was giving me feedback on how he likes the shots to work for post, our post team who does the edits. And Andres, he is just this fantastic guy behind the camera who has taught me a lot, along with CJ Gibson, who's now at Bungie, very close friend. And both those guys have just taught me so much about camera work. And then Ben Singer back in the day taught me like the super basics about camera work. And you guys did. Like
right.
ScrewAttack is where I got my feet wet and got my teeth into learning stuff. You taught me, what was it? B for Blade, A for Awesome, or something like that. Like that was your thing for Final Cut, but it clicked. Like if you knew those two things, you could start building projects in Final Cut Pro. And then, and then decade later, you of course pick a thing up here or there.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's great, man. So what you're saying is that the workflow is very similar to how it was at ScrewAttack. It was like, hey, I got an idea. Okay, let's do it. Let's go. it was such a crazy clusterfuck at ScrewAttack. It was great, man. I loved it. It sounds like your professional career has advanced in the last decade or so.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I have the professional stuff, but I don't think I ever lost that influence of what I was doing when I was making like user movies on game trailers that got you to notice me. Mm-hmm. And then what we were doing at IGN where you were like, give it a shot. I tried pilots at IGN internally. I've tried one that got turned down. We did How Scary Is. That was a pilot that like people really, really loved. That was something that I did. And I'm like, it has to be shot dark. Like it has to be pitch black. And like, I just want to try this thing. And it just really clicked with the audience. And, I have my managerial stuff and I have like the high level stuff that I need to be focusing on. But every once in a while, man, I just love to sink my teeth into a new project and learn a new skill set or solve a problem. It's fun for me, believe it or not. Like the other day, the thing I'm shooting B-roll of is a 360 hertz monitor that analyzes your input latency. So I've been learning about latency for like 2 weeks and how it goes from mouse click to your CPU to your GPU to your display and how that's all calculated. Like that's what I've been doing for fun, Craig.
I have a pitch for you. All right. Yeah. Here's your series pitch. All right. What you need to do is it's called layman's terms. Okay. And you're taking all these things that you're learning, right? All this technical jargon, right? Mm-hmm. And you break it in and you create a 5-minute video that explains everything you just said in like the most basic babble language ever, to where people like me who are dumb can learn it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, latency, yeah.
You'll see it on IGN in 2 wex.
There you go, right? There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any thoughts of bringing back the Armory?
Oh man, I actually really, really liked the concept of the Armory. Yeah. I sort of tried something similar to it at IGN, like I think we called it like weapon breakdown or something like that. We would just talk about the weapon, sort of same content format. Uh-huh. But no, I haven't thought about bringing back the Armory. Doesn't who owns it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird, man.
How did that work? So like you were bought by Fullscreen. That means they own all the IPs and properties that were developed under the ScrewAttack flag, right? And then Fullscreen got purchased by Rooster Teeth. Mm-hmm. And then they own all that? Like, is that how it works?
Well, and Rooster Teeth is acquired by AT&T, right? Mm-hmm. So AT&T, like somewhere in there, ScrewAttack, the IP is owned by AT&T. So Rooster Teeth, it's under RT, but it's like under this big corporate umbrella or whatever, So it's crazy. I actually still own 2 assets from ScrewAttack.
Oh yeah,
I own 2 assets. I'll give you a guess as to what those 2 things are. What do you think?
No way, you still own video game vaults.
No, I don't own video game vaults.
Yeah, Unaware Steve.
I own. No. Okay, go ahead.
Is it Unaware Steve?
No, it's not. I mean, you can't. It's Unaware Steve is just a stupid character. I mean, I'm sure they're
Okay.
No,
All right,
it's
just tell me. I was gonna try and guess one more goofy one.
Go ahead.
Metal Gear Bad.
No, I don't own Metal Gear Bid. I think Ben Singer's got that in the back. He's holding on to that. He's like, it's mine. No.
Yeah.
I still own the rights to SGC.
Oh, cool.
And Hard News.
You do?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Isn't it? Yeah. Those are the two things I wanted to take with me. When
they gave you Hard News?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gave me Hard News and they gave me SGC. I was like, so I've talked about this before. We've always said we've left, but when we left our Rooster Teeth, really the reality of it was my contract expired with Fullscreen. After you're acquired, you have like some sort of contract in place. It was 3 years, right? So my contract was for 3 years. And I've talked about this publicly before. It was like the worst 3 years of my life. I hated every second of it professionally. I went from having like no bosses to having just like I had to get 7 approvals to get anything done. And I'm sure you can kind of equate to that or relate to that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just not my world, right? And I understand the safeguards and stuff, but for me, it feels like it kind of ruins the creative process. I like to kind of go and go and go. Yeah. So my 3 years expires. And we had started Game Attack about 6 months prior to me leaving. And I think me going to them and saying like, hey, I would love to start this new brand and kind of start over. That was kind of their way to be like, oh, sweet. Okay, let's get them out of here, you know? So what was amazing was the day that the axe came down was they had one of their guys go up to Dallas to lay off some folks, Rooster Teeth, and they had me drive down to Austin to speak with Ezra, who was like the president of Fullscreen, then he became the president of Rooster Teeth.
Did they send Bernie? Did he show up in like a Ford Pinto and
no,
with like hamburger wrap? Oh.
Listen,
No, don't say it.
No. So I go down there and I essentially get the axe after like a 3-minute conversation, and so I drove like 3.5 hours down, and they're like, look, you know, we're just gonna go in a different direction, whatever. And I was like, so you want me to drive down for this? Like, I just drove 3.5 hours down here, and you're just gonna let me go? And like,
yeah.
So I was like, well, I want Hard News and SGC, and he's like, you can have whatever you want. It was one of those things. I was like, well, I want that then, you know. So
you didn't want video game vaults. Do you think you could have got it?
Yeah, but I mean, if I wanted to do something like that, I could have just called the vault, you know, or whatever. And you know, whatever. It's such a niche thing, and that type of series wouldn't work on today's internet. You know, these 2 to 3 minute long like retro game vibe, like especially on YouTube, like it needs these episodes need to be 5-10 minutes long to have any sort of pickup in the algorithm at all. But I don't know, man. Like it was you know, I've always had this like fantasy of like, oh, you know, it'd be cool to like bring back Hard News. But once again, Hard News couldn't work in the same format either. Like Hard News was built around this, you know, 2.5 minute snippet of news with like a couple, you know, three news stories and a couple punchlines. And but it couldn't work today. Like it just would not work on today's internet. I mean, it would work on TikTok or Twitter, you know. But it wouldn't work on any sort of way to monetize your stuff. So, but I've always like had this like, I've always been like, oh, that'd be fun to bring back Hard News. But I don't know if I could ever do it. I mean,
you should probably just give it to me.
you're gonna take it and run with it, Destin. I love it.
Yeah, I'll start the TikTok.
Here it is, Destin leaving IGN to start Hard News with Craig. Yeah, let's go.
Hey, that show is where I cut my teeth. That definitely has a special place in my heart, you know?
Me too. That show, people don't understand. That show was the first of its kind. Like, the first to do daily video game news on the internet, period. Like, that's pretty awesome. And that was on you, you know? Really, like, I remember thinking about this show, right? And I was like, well, you know, it'd be cool to do like because I was looking at like IGN and GameSpot and these things, and then they're like producing this, you know, there's all these articles and stuff, and I was like, but it'd be really fun to do like a daily news show. And I remember like within a day or two It was like the gods opened the skies to the game trailers community section, and there's Destin. This is Dustin, and this is the Daily DL.
Yeah,
you know?
the first few episodes, I was like doing a weird voice thing. I think I was going for Anchorman, Ron Burgundy,
right,
and like it just came off weird. And then eventually, I just started reading the news and doing my goofs, and yeah, it was just. I never thought it would have turned in like a 10, 12-year career, however long I've been doing this now.
right. I mean, it's crazy because I remember emailing you and it was like. We had you down, did a test with it, and I was like, okay, this guy's totally going to work. And you came on down. And it must have been like really, really hard for you, like leaving Wisconsin to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to go down and work at this crazy company. I mean, yeah, they have an office and stuff, but there's only like 5-6 guys there or whatever. Like, it must have been kind of weird.
It was sort of, but it was more exciting than anything. For me, I was like, it just seemed right. It just seemed like I had to take the opportunity, you know. It was video games. It was what I wanted to do, and it was another one of those situations where I talked to my employer at the time, and they knew I was doing this like after work. I was working like 3-4 jobs at the time, right? And they knew I was doing that after work. And when I told them what the opportunity was, they're just like, it makes sense, you know. So yeah, man, it was really exciting. And obviously I'm forever grateful. I remember I showed up the first day. I think my car wasn't even unpacked yet. And I just went right to the office. I was like ready to go. It was so great.
You always worked so hard. And that was the one thing I was like, Destin's going to bust his ass. He's going to work hard and make this work regardless. And it's funny to like kind of look back. I remember, you know, when Hard News started, none of it was digital. It was all analog with
Tapes.
tape, right? And we're recording that stuff. So
so what that means for people who don't know,
yes,
we had to record it, and then we had to play it off the camera through a capture device. We had those white boxes I think we'd run it through, and then we would so it would take, I don't know, 30 minutes for a record if I'm having a bad read day, and then you have to play back that 30 minutes to get it on the computer. It was probably not that long. That wasn't that bad. But then you get it on the computer and then you can start editing. But yeah, I think we used mini DVs. You didn't have the big ones. You had the mini DV tapes. But yeah. And when you upgraded to SD cards, our workflow, like, wow, it was so much faster, so much faster.
So yeah, it's crazy because it's what's amazing is like once we went high definition. I mean, that was a big deal, right? What's crazy?
Do you remember sorry to interrupt you. Do you remember the cameras you bought?
Destin, I'm looking at you through one of those cameras that I bought.
No way.
Doesn't it look good?
It does. What was it?
It's a Panasonic DVX 100B.
That's right.
Right? Yeah.
That's right.
I'm still using that camera, and that was like, yeah, it was a big deal, and it looks good. I mean, it still shoots in 720p, 1080i, 1080p if you need it. I mean, it's there. It doesn't do 1080p 60, but it does 1080p 30. So, you know,
it's a good investment.
Yeah, like, dude, it's been what 10, 11 years now, something like that. It's been nuts. So, man, that's crazy. So you come down. Obviously, you're hosting Hard News. We're doing this. The turnaround is every day. And we're gonna try to get it up. It was like around 4 or 5. It was like we had a cut off, and it was.
I have funny little story about that.
That's
I have an alarm in this bin under my TV somewhere. It still goes off every day when I have to start my export.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I just kind of keep it because it reminds me of that.
That's great.
And it hasn't died yet. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. So every day you're like, oh yeah. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was 5. I think we shot for 5.
Yes, 5 o'clock every day for sure. And that was like, we weren't uploading to YouTube. We were just uploading to our website, and then we'd occasionally do like a bumper on YouTube to push back because YouTube wasn't, wasn't a thing. It wasn't a major thing. It was becoming a major thing, but it was more of a billboard for us. But it was crazy. Well, Hard News was awesome. You kind of came in? It's funny because. The previous week's episode of this was a Side Scrollers reunion where it was me. I did an episode with me, Chad, Sam, and Brian.
Oh, yeah.
And
thanks for the invite.
Well, so here's the thing. Well, no, here's the thing, right? I hear this all the time. They go, I say, I was like, hey, I'm going to do a Side Scrollers reunion, right? Because the idea was I wanted to kind of we ended on Side Scrollers 554. So I wanted to come back and just finish it out with 555 with the team that finished it, right?
Nice.
So we did. But whenever I mention like a Side Scrollers reunion, people they have different teams, different hosts, right? So, but in my personal opinion, my favorite team of Side Scrollers was of the podcast was me, you, and Corey. Like I loved the dynamic that we had on Side Scrollers, and doing it's something that you can't. I mean, you could do it today, but I remember doing the theater where
the reenactments.
The reenactment. Well,
those were really fun.
Where a story was trying to be told, and we would kind of improv on the whim about what was happening on Side Scrolls. Do you remember those?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. It's like I remember Corey was like telling a story about something, and I don't know, it was crazy, but I remember having just a really good time whenever we got on together, and it was fun because there's so many different iterations of Side Scrollers over the years of different teams, and the crazy thing about it is like, the 15th year of 15th anniversary, whatever, whenever ScrewAttack started, is coming up in February, and I was like, wow. Oh, that'd be cool to do something. I was like, it'd be really neat to do something. Obviously, I don't own the rights, so it'd be like, whatever. But
to Side Scrollers? Oh,
no, to ScrewAttack. ScrewAttack would be. I mean, technically, yeah, Side Scrollers as well. But it'd be neat to do some sort of like reunion, right? Some sort of ScrewAttack reunion. But I also realized that there's people that you like never met. Like you were a part of this, like I'd say like the version 3 team of the site, right? It was like you, Corey, Jose, Ryan, the intern, Chad, and it was like this select group of obviously Nick and Jose, of folks. And I always felt like that was kind of the most fun era of ScrewAttack. While we were there, we do all these stupid skits and stuff, and that's obviously not to diminish anything else we did later, because we obviously did some really fun stuff too. But I think
you launched SGC with that group.
Yes, yeah. Do you remember me coming home and coming back from PAX and talking about that?
No, I don't. I do remember that. I think it started as like a tournament. The tournament was the focus.
Right? So IMOG, Iron Man of Gaming. That's how it started. But I remember coming back from PAX. And I remember flying back from PAX and was like, we can do that. Like, I don't understand what's so hard about doing that. So right, it's like, so I come back and I was like, we're going to do a convention. And I remember everyone was like, okay, right. I was like, all right, sure. And it was like, what's it? And I didn't have a plan about what it was going to be called. It was just like, and I remember we were kicking around names like video, like Vex or something, VEX, VGX, yeah, like all these like weird, initials and stuff. Like what really rolls off the tongue, and then we just ended up settling on SGC. But speaking of SGC, I remember you shooting Hard News from the lobby of the Hyatt or the Hilton, whatever it was, whatever the first venue was, and I remember thinking that was so cool.
I was doing a power supply switch in one of my computers because I was putting a new graphics card in, and I destroyed 10 terabytes of hard drives, including one that held all my photos. But I learned how to fix it, and I fixed it, and I got all the photos back, and those photos were on there from that event, from that SGC with like, I don't remember who did the photography, but it's just a whole bunch of people doing the point, and that was for sure something that I'll never forget, just doing that. And I was so nervous. I remember I kind of screwed up a few times, and I don't know if that was the one where I did the debate with Mark Menthonitis, whose name I still can't say properly, and the God, what was his name? Do you remember?
Jack Thompson. Jack Thompson. Yeah.
Jack Thompson, who was actually really nice to us the entire time he was there. But
like,
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that whole event, and the whole crowd at the end chanting SGC. Like,
right.
I get chills thinking about it.
I'll get back to the conversation here in just a minute, but once again, a reminder, collaboratorclub.com. You create stuff, you need to be there. That's all I'm going to tell you. I just need you to go. No, I don't even want you to go. Don't even care. Go to collaboratorclub.com. If you are a content creator of any size, making content about anything, you need to go there and find somebody to work with to help both of you grow. It's insane. All right, go check it out right now. Appreciate it. Let's get back to the show. It's pretty insane. Electric. Like, yeah, it's one of those things where you like SGC. I don't have the energy to do another SGC. Like, but I know that an event that large, even like the first year, we had 1,000 people at it, and it eventually grew. Like after you left, it grew to a point to where it was like one of the largest events in Texas. And we had like 15,000 people at it the final year. It was nuts. Wow. And then we were acquired, and then Fullscreen didn't want to like invest in two events that were kind of close to each other and stuff. So
okay.
So SGC got gobbled up into RTX, and it's like, okay, all right, fine. So that's how that one went. Which I get. Kinda, business is business. So, but I'll tell you what, man, that first one in particular, there was like with just it was so like rebel radio, like kind of what we were doing. There weren't really any rules. It was just like, let's just make sure nobody gets hurt. And
that was scary.
Right. Nathan was always like Nathan, I always felt, was the biggest asset and liability of SGC for sure, because he provided so much energy the entire time. But it was cool, man. SGC was always a wild time. Do you have any special memories of SGC in particular?
The debate I remember often. I remember doing the point. I remember at one point, Ben, Nick, Jose, me, Corey, we were just in the back room and we were exhausted after the show. And just that feeling that you get in an event like that we're all in this together, tempers will sometimes flare, but it's family. It's definitely that feeling of family. That's replicated often at IGN on a larger scale, but I don't think you can ever replicate what we had with that crew at ScrewAttack at the time.
It was pretty tight. Yeah. It was tight. And I think the thing about SGC that was so unique, and it was mainly because I just was so stupid. Like, we were the ones making SGC happen. Like, it wasn't we hired another company out. Like, there was, 10 of us, whatever it was, and we're Ben's the one running the camera. Nick's the one running around with the camera. Like, we're the ones still running this thing. I'm the guy who's checking in guests and making sure they're going to their place. And it was so, like, looking back on it, you're like, what the hell were we thinking? And but I also think that people really, really enjoy that aspect of it. The idea that they saw us doing it.
I think there's a reason so many people from that group have gone on to be successful within the industry. We all worked really hard, and we all honestly just care about community and games. And it's great to see that, like, Ben and Chad and all of them are successful over at Rooster Teeth. And yeah, it's cool.
It's neat. It's neat to see kind of the feeder system that was kind of there, Do you have a favorite skit or anything that we ever did at ScrewAttack that you want to talk about? Something that sticks out?
There was a Soulja Boy one. Anyone where I got to be over dramatic, because you've been doing the watch packs, right? And I work so fast that I forget what I've done. You could ask me what I did a month ago, and it'd be hard for me to tell you. But then every once in a while, you see the gamer show, Lost in Blue. and it's like such a reference that, like, I think Ben and I were in on the joke. Right. And that was it,
Like, nobody, like, if you're watching the show, I think it was a reference to something that happened like on like out of the box or something. It was like such a fringe reference to a show that maybe like 10 people watched or something, and like Lost in Blue was Lost in Blue. No. Oh my God. And the only reason I know that is because I did do a rewatch of it, which is great. So,
oh man, there's some that we probably shouldn't re-air, but
oh yeah,
the furry convention where I just played the, hey, can you explain to me what's going on guy. Those were pretty good. And Nick would go as the toucan. And he would be so serious. He would like put on that costume and turn into a different person.
Yes.
Oh man.
It was good times.
Yeah.
Like I remember the one that I always thought was really, really funny was the idea of Nick, who's this like straight-laced guy, of taking you to the convention, but not knowing it was the furry convention, and then getting there and being like, "What is this thing?" And like making him go in the toucan outfit, which is great. He's got these like these man cats like purring on him and stuff. It was like,
sorry, Nick.
It was fun, man. It was like a bunch of friends getting together, and yeah, we had deadlines and things we needed to get done, but there was so much tomfoolery and stuff that like couldn't be done today. There's no way it could be done today. I think about like the indoctrination of like Nick. Like the first day he got hired, he got hit in the balls, right?
Oh,
and that was like a thing. Could you imagine? That
just wouldn't happen today?
Yeah. Could you imagine in 2020 if like I'm like, hey Nick, wham, like I would be canceled, right? That's assault. That's sexual assault, and like and it was just like a thing. It was just a thing we did, and just a different time, But
I never got hit in the balls.
I know.
That was the thing. I'm like, no.
Yes. Yeah. No, I don't want to do that. That's good.
Yeah. And I think you guys did a BB thing once, and I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, there was the one.
Yeah.
I remember being like, Destin's real stick in the mud today. Where it was like we were shooting each other with airsoft guns.
Yeah.
And like looking back, I was like, Destin's really smart. Destin's a really smart guy. Was there anything that we did that you were like, man, that's really dumb?
The salsa thing.
Oh, yeah.
I was so worried about Ben. And I remember like yelling at people to get out of the way at the car. Like, get out of here.
What was your role that day? Because were you doing camera?
I think I was filming.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like my first week.
Yeah, okay. That was a really big event in ScrewAttack's history. Like that was one of those days where I was like,
your edit or whoever edited it, just kudos. It's probably Ben or Nick.
That was me.
Brian.
That was actually me. Yeah. I remember feeling really proud about telling a story with that.
Reversing the video. But you jerk.
Yeah. But like I think about all the I think that was Ben and Nick. It was
Jose was there, Corey was there. I was there.
I think it was you and Corey's like he said like your first week or something, and it was like we're gonna shoot this salsa thing, and and we bought. I just remember thinking like
on paper it seems totally fine.
Yes.
Like if you just say, hey, we're gonna have a salsa eating competition, it'll be really goofy, it'll be really spicy. The problem was Ben. We didn't realize there were more considerations with Ben than we had realized, and not having an emergency plan was what made it so scary.
There was never the emergency plan was me taking off my shirt, throwing it in a bird bath, trying to soak it with water and get it in Ben's eyes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was the day. I've said this before, but that was the day that I was like, okay, people can actually die, right? People can die doing this, so we should probably temper this a little bit. But for a lot of folks, that was a really, really important moment in the early ScrewAttack days, for sure.
Mm. Wow. Besides that, I can't really think of anything that I was like, oh my God.
Well, good, because I can think of a lot of stuff that was like,
No,
there's a lot of stuff.
I'm sure if I went and watched the videos, I'd be like, oh yeah, maybe that.
Man, yeah. I mean, that'd be fun to do. Just do a recap with you on some of the other stuff. Speaking of,
some of the top tens for sure should not have been made.
No, they were what they now call a product of their time.
Yes,
yes. This is if they were ever released in blistering high definition instead of the 480p that they were released on. Yes, there were things that were said, things that were done in those that were a product of their time and do not reflect the people that voiced them now today.
That Craig's done his legal disclaimer that he is required by law to read.
Yes, for sure, and Twitter.
Are you deleting your Twitter?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am. I am getting done with it, man. I am so past social media. It's crazy.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it.
I'm not really concerned. I'm really not. Like, so I'm launching this new. Have you heard about the new thing I've launched? The new Collaborator Club?
Yeah, it's on your TV.
Yeah, it is.
It was.
By the way, we have a wonderful setup here with the TV at the slant. Look at how similar our setup is. This is wonderful.
This is my living room, and I'm looking at yours. I'm like, oh man, I like his texture wood back there, and I like how he has an accent light. And I'm looking at mine, and I'm like, I got to do something about this.
Lighting
This
goes
is too
a long
busy.
way.
I need to light it. And anyway,
Lighting goes a long way. Making
I like that
this
you kept the
stuff look good.
NBA Jam.
Oh yeah, this is important. This is a big deal.
Well,
But,
there's the kids again.
But yeah, man, it looks good on camera. It's nice.
Collaborator Club, though.
Yeah. Well. So I don't even know what else I'm going to talk about that. But
You're deleting your Twitter and
oh
launching Collaborator Club.
So a lot of people have been asking, like, I have a Collaborator Club like Twitter handle, but for me, I'm just ready to be done and get done with Twitter as a whole and the social media. It's just such a mess, and it's so gross to be on a day-to-day basis. And like, people can take and twist things and say things about you that you never said, and it's just gross. And I've kind of reached a point to where I don't know, like, I'm not going to miss it. And really, the only reason I kept it around was to kind of get Collaborator Club out the door, and hopefully those who want to follow Collaborator Club, they can do it and kind of go from there. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think it's something that for me, like mentally, like I very much like it'll be good. It'll be good for me. And I never really talked about like mental health or anything like that before, but I think just for a lot of folks, a lot of people wake up and they check their phone immediately and see what's going on Twitter and
especially right now when we're less able to just hang out with people and talk. I think a lot of people are going to social media. A lot of people are frustrated. Social media also is a little problematic because it creates a lot of animosity towards people, partially because of the character limit. It's not a good place for nuanced conversation. And it also has the problem with echo chambers where you're just reinforcing your own thing. And usually the people that challenge it are just being toxic. So like your mind doesn't really get changed. There's no dialogue. It's really problematic. I like social media just in general it's something that I think is going to take a while to be figured out how to be better. And I really don't think it's in a good place right now, especially like just seeing colleagues being harassed on there or even just targeting a certain person. It's not good, dude. It's really bad. And it's really degrading to mental health. Like you said, there's so many problems with it in different ways.
Sorry. Do you remember the rule we had when you started at ScrewAttack about comments? Do you remember what that was?
Don't read them.
Yeah, it was don't read comments for like 2 weeks, right? Because people are going to just be hateful towards you. Oh, who's this idiot? Whatever. And that was pretty true. And like looking back on that, and we'll circle back on social media here in a second. But like if you look back on that, like what a crazy way to think. It's like, yeah, well, just don't read them because people are just going to be jerks because the internet's just filled with a bunch of asshats. And when you have social media, you're essentially allowing a comment section that you read all the time about you, and you think about, you said your colleagues being harassed and stuff. Like that's like, what are we getting harassed about? Like
just
reviews,
dumb gaming stuff.
Xbox, exactly. The Xbox, the PlayStation, your thoughts on a review or whatever. Like, come on, that's dumb as shit. How about we have a little perspective? But that's the problem is social media is not a place for perspective. And you're right. The echo chamber thing is like super dangerous, and you're surrounded by people who think exactly like you, so you don't hear all sides of it, which is crazy to think about. So
I'm still pretty active on social media, much less than I was like a year or two ago. And part of that's just, I don't really want to know what everybody else thinks. I want to come to my own conclusions, and I want to come to that conclusion based on multiple sources. Like that's how I've always been. I don't really get bothered when people say stuff. Like there's this former employee from IGN, Colin Moriarty, who he just says his opinion. He's very frank and whatever. I don't agree with a lot of what he says. But like, it doesn't bother me. It's just how he is, like that's what he believes. That's what he wants to think. And he's thinking for himself. And I just don't understand why that's bad. Why challenging being able to have conversations, being able to think. There's a point where you can be like, and I'm not talking about the people who are outright targeting individuals. Like that's not talking,
that's yelling and doing this. That's what that is. It's arguing like it's yelling like like a 3-year-old. That's what it is. So.
Yeah. And like, look, Colin says a lot of stuff I don't agree with, but that's his opinion. And like, does it mean it's just weird? It feels like when somebody says something that you don't agree with, they get labeled as evil, right? And then that's it. They're done, right?
I think that's the fascinating thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I think there's people out there that are just like, well, he said that thing. I don't agree with it. Maybe we should talk a little bit deeper about why they believe that. And then you get into the whole character limitation thing and the echo chamber thing. And it's really, I really, really feel like Twitter especially is especially problematic for various reasons. Like I would have to like really do my due diligence and work to talk about this properly. But it's just something I've been thinking a lot about. Like, I just want to make my own determination, and I just don't want to think what everybody else thinks, because that's the thing that you're supposed to be doing, because that's what everybody said you're supposed to do.
Oh, man. Like, you don't – it's crazy. So you and I are on the same page because we are adults, right? And you can have conversation. That's probably been my biggest thing is I've said this literally since the start of my online career. If you have an issue with me, come to me. Come talk to me. You don't need to be talking to anybody else. If you don't need to be making snide remarks, just come talk to me like an adult, okay? And we'll figure it out. What's fascinating is I've noticed kind of the divisive nature. Obviously, this will air probably 10 days before the election, right? So, we got a little bit before the election. Obviously, the election and politics is like super divisive, and that's like, it seems like that's all that's on social media now is you're a bad person because you think this way, or you're a great person because you think this way, and it's like, God, what a mess. But I just my personal story. I don't know if you saw this or not, but I thought it was really fascinating to see brands and personalities saying, "Hey, you should vote for this person," right? I don't even care who they're saying who you should vote for, because, like I said, I stay out of politics generally. But just the idea of saying you should vote this way, to me, is like it can be like really bad for your community, right? Because you're essentially alienating half your audience and saying, well, like, if you don't vote this way, then you're a bad person, right? And I essentially said that on Twitter, and I said, I don't care how you think, how you vote, or what you believe in. Just don't tell me about it, and I'm not going to tell you how I think, right? Don't push it on me. I'm not going to push it on you. And man, oh man, right? Twitter hated that. I mean, dude, I was called a white supremacist for saying that. It was like, I'm sorry, how did this get here? Like, because I just said, I don't care how you think, and please don't push your thoughts on me, and I won't push them on you. So that was like, okay. I mean, it was very validating to me to see, to
just not be on the platform anymore.
Yeah. To be like, okay, I'm down. I'm good. I'm out. I don't need this, so it was just fascinating to see how people could go there. And some people would email me. Some people email me, and I appreciate that, but it would be a one-sided email, and whatever. And it was a mess. But
you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. Here's why you should change your stance.
Right.
Well, and I don't talk about it more. No.
No. Exactly.
It's been the whole political landscape stuff. It's been really difficult for me. I don't want to talk about which side I lean on. I just don't talk about that stuff. It doesn't really matter.
You're right.
I mean, sorry. Politics are important. You should go out and vote, and you should make your own decisions based off of whatever your beliefs are, right? You have to vote for the candidate that you believe in. It's just such a personal thing.
Well, when I was raised,
That's the way I was raised. Like that's
you
your
don't talk.
choice.
You don't talk about it. You like it. It's funny because Mackenzie, my daughter, who you have not met, which is crazy to think about, but she's like, we voted and we were talking about it at dinner, and she goes, "Well, who'd you vote for?" And I said, "It's none of your business, right?" I said that to my kid. It's not your business. And she goes, "Well, I just want to know." I was like, "Well, it's something we don't talk about. It's rude to talk about that." And it seems like everybody wants to talk about that now. But whatever. Let's move on from politics. I hate talking about politics, but it just spurns from social media and stuff.
It's really difficult. Like my whole concern is like, okay, I'm having this conversation with my friend Craig. I realize this is going to go out. Is something I say going to be taken improperly?
Right.
And then will somebody come after me? So I'm just not going to fucking say anything.
Right. Exactly. And that's the crazy thing about this is that somebody will be like, well, Destin said politics aren't important, and they'll take that clip and until you said, no, politics are important, but like people can take these snippets and post it, and then all of a sudden there it is, and it's like, you're right. It's crazy that we can't just speak freely about things without the possibility of someone taking things wrong or wanting to cancel or whatever.
I guess my whole thing about it is the way that I think about it and the way that I think people should think about it is read and learn as much as you can from as many different sources as you can, because there's a lot out there now about how there's concern about legitimacy of sources. So don't just read a meme on Facebook. Actually dive into where that came from. Now, thank God they're finally addressing that, by the way. But yeah, just think. Use your brain. Think. Read stuff.
Be your own journalist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like that's just how I'm built. So I look at as many sources as I possibly can, then I come to my own conclusions. I get a ton of political calls, especially this week, and I'm just like, I'll make my own decision. Don't call me.
Yeah, good for you, man. Good for you. That's great, man. Okay, so let's single back. Let's single back to. I was thinking about this while you're talking about the pointing at SGC with hard news, and it got me thinking about how we used to have our teleprompter. Do you remember how we used to do our teleprompter?
Yeah. You would hold a laptop just under the camera. It was mostly Jose. You would have to press the up and down arrows.
Somebody literally holding it up like Vanna White.
There was one time, I still feel bad about it. Mark, I think, had just started, right? And he was holding the laptop. So you have to hold it like this so that the narrator can read it. I was the narrator, and he would hold it. And like he had done it a few times, but he would start turning it and then he would just be looking at it. And I was like, hold the camera, hold it straight. And I got really mad. And I got really mad at Mark a few times. I just feel awful for like how I was in those situations. So, I mean, Mark, if you watch this, I'm really sorry for everything, just everything, genuinely.
Well, Mark has gone on.
I could have been better. I've grown a lot as a person and realized a lot of the anger stuff that I used to do. It wasn't okay. And Mark is one of the people I should definitely apologize to.
Well, like, how old are you when you're at ScrewAttack?
Mid to late 20s.
Okay, so
I'm almost 40 now, so I'm
right.
a calmer.
So the idea that you're the same person as then is like crazy to think about, and I think a lot of people understand.
I didn't hit him. I was just yelled at him once or twice, and I feel bad. Yeah.
Listen, you hit him verbally. verbally.
I yelled at him for the Tetris doors too.
I know.
I'm pretty bad about that. Yeah. Sorry.
Look, I love Mark too, but let's just be honest. The Tetris doors were both the highlight and the worst part of The Office. They were so funny.
I think you made him better after that.
I just, oh my God. I remember giving Mark the Mark at on Twitter, ADD at work. I love Mark. He always gave us his best, and he always wanted to be a part of what we were doing. And he went on and he was editing videos, I believe, for Matt Pat for a while, and cool. A lot of folks. So I mean, he had a great career. Yeah, there are certain things that those doors, man, those Tetris doors, people like truly don't understand. It's crazy. I did a ScrewAttack location tour, like a live location tour on Twitch the other day, where I just kind of went from like to our different offices, which you were only at one of the offices. But above like
What are you
that
talking
office,
about? I went to your apartment that one time.
right.
So too.
Right too. What's funny is like our sign. We didn't have any signage out, obviously, because we didn't want to like put it out there that we were there. Our only signage was a sticker that was on top of the door frame. Right. It was just like such as ScrewAttack.com, and the outline of that sticker is still on the door frame. That from that nasty old gross little office that we had, which was great. It's just fun to. Yeah,
Another
it was
thing
fun.
I feel about Chad was like super pissed when I moved his desk. At the time, I'm like, this will give us all more space. Chad will love it.
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
There was a time Chad did all the package stuff. Like we had 4 people in the one room. It was built for 3 max, right?
Right.
And we had 4 in there. We had like a double up desk, and then I had a desk on the window, and then there was another one. I'm like, let's take the 4th desk and I'll put it on the other side, and like Chad can have all the room he needs to do his parcel stuff. He was so mad at me. He was so angry. I felt bad about that one too.
Oh man, that's funny.
Sorry, Chad. I think we're fine
no.
now. He came here for his birthday like 3 years ago, and me, him, and April hung out.
Oh,
Haven't met his
great.
kids yet either.
Oh man, well we need to get together. Do you? One thing I've never actually talked to you about. Never actually talked to Jared about this either. But Jared came down. You guys lived in the same town. You guys knew each other.
Knabenbauer?
Yeah, Jared Knabenbauer, right?
Mhm.
Right. Do you guys know each other up in Green Bay prior to working together?
Nope, but apparently I shopped at the store that he worked at.
Right. Okay. So I think that's how the came together. But you guys lived in the same area, and I always felt like you guys had some sort of like kinship together, just from growing, just being in the same area. Was I wrong by that, or did you guys have?
Jared and I were very close.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so too. So I always felt, and this I guess is a bigger question for Jared, because I always felt like after you left, Jared kind of left also, like mentally, because I always felt like you guys were always like right there. And after you left to move on, I think Jared was kind of felt like he was on an island by himself. And I think that'd be a better question for Jared sometime. But I don't know. That's just something I was thinking about. So way to go, Destin.
Maybe. Yeah, I just hope Jared's okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously done very well for himself. So, he's had his ups and downs too. But for the most part, I think he's been doing great. So, well, that's good, man. Do you have any? I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I've had a really fun time talking to you. But do you?
It's been an hour.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have any other stories you want to share, like behind the scenes, anything that you've always kept in the back that you always wanted to pull out and never had? Something that you think some like old school 2008 G1 would want to hear?
I honestly don't know. Okay, I can't think of anything like too crazy. Like if you told me stuff, I would probably be like, oh yeah, this happened and that happened. But like SGC sticks out. It was really cool when everybody was talking about Death Battle and that was being created, because like that's a mega show now.
Right.
And just seeing like Ben come up with that in his infancy, and then Chad come up with the character, and being there while that was happening. Like you brought up that electricity feeling. Mm-hmm. That was definitely one of those moments. SGC was one of those moments. It's just, it's hard to, I don't think anything I've ever done has quite replicated those emotions. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. That's cool.
But I can't think of any like crazy thing that happened.
No.
Off the top of my head, yeah.
Well, it was a really cool window, and I think looking back on that era of ScrewAttack in particular, it was one of those times where we were all young. We were all like working hard. Nobody's making any money, but we're just like going to work, having fun, and figuring it out together. It was good times. I always look back on that era really fondly, for sure.
Yeah. So miss you.
I miss you too. Yeah. I would love to travel.
Steak.
Yeah, dude. Well, listen, it won't be on my bill. I'll tell you that much. You're the one with the corporate card. So
okay.
there you go. You can buy the big 72-ounce ribeye or whatever it is.
You got it.
Man.
I owe you one.
Man, speaking of, dude, I was trying to wrap up, but do you remember the E3 road trip?
Honestly, like as soon as you started moving on, that's what I thought of. I thought about E3, the road trip, Nick trying to eat that meat, you eating the burrito. Oh God!
Do you remember how mad?
And the rooms. The Ritz Milner.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It has Ritz in the name. It's supposed to be good.
I was thinking the other day. So it was, who was all on that trip? It was me, you,
Jose, Ben, and Nick.
How did the seating arrangements work in the car?
Great question. I don't know.
Did we just all squeeze in the back?
I think we did. Yeah, I think it was like
Oh my God.
whoever was in the front seat because that was in my
I think
Rogue,
Ben
right?
got front seat like the whole time. It
Like,
was on the road. Yeah.
well, no, but was it in my Nissan Rogue I had? Like
It was a
the little blue-
roomier vehicle. It was blue. Yeah.
Yeah, the blue one. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I literally just got done with that. Just moved on from that vehicle, like just recently. But yeah, man, I remember being so mad at Nick after the steak in Amarillo, the 72-ounce steak, because he didn't even try. He didn't even try. Because he got done, he's like, well, that was a good meal, and he had like 3 bites of it, and like there was so much of the steak because that was the whole reason why he took the steak with him, and which later we just called steak. And do you remember do you remember the end result where that steak ended up?
I think eventually it was starting to smell, and we were like, Nick, get this damn steak out of the car.
It was given. It was smelling. It was smelling so bad, and we made it to Las Vegas. It was 2 days later, and Nick was carrying it around in this to-go container as he has the rest of the steak, and he just gave it to a homeless guy on the strip in Vegas, and the guy was like, "Thanks," and it was like, oh my God, it was just so.
I don't know if that was charitable or
no.
not.
I know.
Like,
I remember being done with that and being like, Nick, if he dies, like
Nick, maybe you shouldn't give that to him.
Oh
His heart
my
was in the
God.
right place.
Yeah, so was mine with the Ritz Milner. I'll tell you that much. Tried it. No one ever stay in the Ritz Milner. It was so small. I remember Jose Jose laying down in his bed all the way down, and his feet hitting. He was in the bed, and his feet hit the wall of the room because it was so tiny. It was so good. Oh my gosh.
Jose is not a small man.
No.
He is quite large. I miss Jose very much.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, let's look. If COVID gets into an okay place, let's. I'm gonna figure something out. We're gonna make a ScrewAttack 15-year reunion happen in or around February, probably later.
Hell yeah.
It'll be good. Destin, thank you for joining me. And make sure you tell everybody where they can find you now.
Yeah, I mean, IGN, whenever I'm available on those shows like Unlocked, I do a Destiny show. And then I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 8, actually, over at twitch.tv/Destin. And I post on YouTube at youtube.com/The Destin Channel. Because I can't get youtube.com/Destin. What up with that, YouTube?
What is up with that?
Some guy just has that locked from 2004 and he hasn't posted anything.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Whatever. All right. Well, everyone go to youtube.com/Destin and harass him. Don't harass him. Just kidding. He won't get it. He doesn't know he's there. No. All right. Well, go watch Destin on I like twitch.tv/Destin better. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
We got this snazzy logo made this year.
Oh, so nice. All right. We'll see you later, buddy.
All right. Bye.
All right. Lots of great stories there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Episode 15 of the CraigSkitz podcast. What will be episode 16? I can't tell you yet. It may be the Side Scrollers Union. It may not. I don't know. With that said, I do have some people lined up that I'm going to be doing I'm going to be having on a podcast, but I can't tell you what episode 16 is going to be just yet because I don't know if I'm going to be able to air it just yet. Trust me, it'll be worth the wait when it airs, and we'll go from there. But with that said, I do want to remind you, go to patreon.com/CraigSkitz. Once again, this show is entirely funded by you. All right. If just 10% of the people who watch this show go and support me on Patreon, this show could be every single day. Every single day. That'd be amazing. All right, guys, I appreciate your support. We'll see you guys next Monday at noon Central Time for the next episode of the CraigSkitz podcast. Have a great week. Bye-bye.